Flying Casuals brought to you by Patreon supporters Brent, Kelly Breckner, Jory Webb, Wes Anderson, David Bush, and Nate Edison. May the Force be with you.
You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Casual fam, I started talking and forgot to mute myself.
Unmute
myself. I had muted myself.
You were muted.
I was muted. I'm now unmuted. I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted.
It reminds me of that scene in Ace Ventura when he's outside the screen door. It's funny.
That was a pretty good impression, right?
It was great.
I've actually done quite a few impressions for you lately.
What were some of the other ones?
Oh, it's actually mostly just been like 90s songs.
I think earlier you tried to do Joe Pesci.
Yeah, because you had me watching Goodfellas, and I was like, wait a second, Joe Pesci stabbed someone right in the beginning of Goodfellas? That was traumatic. I'd never seen the movie before.
And you didn't see it last night?
Well, not all of it. The beginning. What was the song that I was singing earlier that I thought was Alanis Morissette?
Oh, you were singing a song by the Cranberries. But I think the one impression that you did earlier, you tried to do the guy from the Bare Naked Ladies.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Never seen me.
And no matter how many times I correct you on the lyrics.
Oh, I thought you were telling me the lyrics. I was like, I don't remember. No matter how many times I correct your lyrics.
That's the remix.
I would actually love to record that song.
Like yourself?
But make it a Star Wars spoof.
Well, I was like, you just recorded the first line. Well, kind of.
Still not a Jedi, got on my hands.
Slam.
I know. That was a slam on the Skywalkers, but not Rey, because she came out with all limbs.
So far. Technically
a Skywalker now. She's rebranded herself.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
An awakening.
That was very topical, Holly. I appreciated that reference. Casual fam, I had an intro, and then I had myself muted, so it threw me all off. And so instead, you got an Ace Ventura impersonation.
But at least we're recording.
We're recording. I had more Ace Ventura jokes, but
I ruined it.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? You remember Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was fantastic.
Hilarious.
But remind me of the Cranberries song, Holly. How did that go?
I don't know.
You could just at least voice it. You don't have to sing.
I definitely can't do anywhere near her voice.
Huh. I'm starting to think something. I don't know if it's all the paint in the house.
I think it's the full moon.
It could be the full moon.
Mercury's in retrograde.
I'm not sure I follow, even though I am on my big space kick right now. I'm not sure I follow. Technically, what does that mean?
Okay. It's when a planet...
And let me disclose, Holly is not an astrophysicist, though she may be, and I don't know that history.
Who knows?
But continue, sorry.
It's when a planet... Someone's going to get mad at me because I'm not going to explain it right.
Oh, I love
this is not what we mean by Star Wars.
Okay.
No, it's when a planet... Okay.
Yeah.
To make it simple, it's when a planet kind of... So
does it tilt or something?
No, it doesn't tilt. Well,
they're at a tilt.
That's different. So your planets are in orbit around the sun, right?
Okay.
And so for you people who are listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, you can't see my hands right now.
Yeah, she's doing something with the hands.
So like the sun's in the middle. Say this is Mercury.
Okay.
And this is Venus, which are the two planets that showed us that Mercury is in retrograde.
Oh, nice.
So Mercury has a shorter orbit around the sun, right? The Venus does, right? Because Mercury's closer.
Yeah.
So it takes less time for Mercury to go around the sun. So it passes Venus, then it will show up behind Venus when previously it had been in front of it relative to the night sky.
Okay.
So a long time ago, they thought that it was actually moving backwards.
Oh.
So we call it in retrograde when it comes up.
But even though we know it's not, we still call it that.
Yeah, we're old school, I guess, and not very educated.
Do we still believe the world is flat?
Some of us do.
Some of us do.
I do not.
It's unfortunate.
It is. And incorrect.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert for anyone out there who is listening and believes the world is flat. Holly just gave a great, a little description as to, why that is not the case in all of our solar system rotating around the sun. I couldn't even, Holly, name the order of the planets from the sun.
You couldn't.
It's really sad.
But I hope now you can.
Oh, my 6-year-old nephew can, and I can't.
We won't put you on the spot.
There's a lot that I don't know. What I think I, have a little bit of knowledge on is Star Wars. And I'm okay with that.
And here we are.
I'm okay with that. All that schooling, Mom, I'm sorry. I guess it paid off. I don't know. I'm still kicking it, right?
You're here.
Still here, holding down a
Coherent.
job. Well, sometimes. Depends on how many Michelob Ultras we have. Holly's rocking a Michelob Ultra tonight, which was a gift of our neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Really pleasant guy we just got to know. Super nice. Gifted a 24-pack to us. It was a little housewarming present.
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
At 8 o'clock in the morning. There's no better time to see Holly and I out, on the town.
Gallivanting around.
In sweatpants and looking terrible. Well, you look good. I didn't.
Well, but hey, it got us a 24-pack of
Got a
Michelob
24-pack. So looks like we'll be drinking the Ultra here for a while until Luke comes around and brings some high-class, craft brews. But guys, so a lot's been going on here in the new base. A lot of painting. I still may have a little bit of a high.
Yeah.
Can I be honest? Is that okay to be honest on the podcast about that? And kids listening, it's not cool to get high. But, sometimes it's impossible to avoid it when you're painting.
This PSA brought to you by Michael Canterbury.
Michael Canterbury. Love the way you say that name. Bury. So lots of painting. I can barely feel my body. I got a kink in my neck the size of Montana, and it ain't going away. So this is probably going to be, I'm going to say, one of our shorter podcasts. I know we just did, 10 minutes of banter there, but I'm going to say it's going to be a little shorter. Is that okay, Holly? Is that okay with you?
I think everyone got 2 episodes last week,
They
so
did.
I think we're okay. We're in
Absolutely,
the clear.
absolutely. And I don't know how long I can sit in this position. I'll either black out from the paint, or I'll just go and I'll just lock up and fall out of my chair because my neck hurts so bad. So
Both of those would be bad.
what would you do?
I guess I would
Continue
have
the podcast.
I would
Holly,
have
that
to
was
keep
a
going.
Test. That was a trick question. You would not call 911. You would not rush me to the hospital. You would finish the podcast, stop the recording, then feel free to call 911.
First and foremost,
yes,
I would finish the podcast.
Actually, could you finish it and edit it and get it uploaded for tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
I could.
I'm gonna have to show you how to do that though first, right?
Speaking of apprentices.
Oh, that's right. I did tell Holly, in case I die or black out, I need to show you how to get all this set up. You just bring the brains and the brawn and the beauty, and we just, we need to show you how to set up the ship.
Well, I did plug the Roadcaster in tonight, so that's a start.
You plugged the road. You did. You charged her up, and we're good to go thanks to you.
The record button is on this time, people.
That's right. We've been recording for 10 minutes solid. So this is going to be a shorter episode. And you haven't heard Luke. We're not ignoring Luke. Luke's not sitting next to Holly out of camera. No, he's not on the phone. Luke was out saving the Republic.
He was on a mission.
On a mission. I would say around Vector 9, which happens to be Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm. The Outer Rim.
The Outer Rim.
Oh, wait.
To us
I meant
Midwesterners.
Whoops.
Yeah. Well, it is to us, Holly. Here in the Buckeye State, it's the Outer Rim for us, right?
It is. It's way out there.
God forbid. when we go out to, God help us when we go out to California. That's going to be the outer. That's the unknown regions. So
it's gonna feel like a different country.
Whoa. Easy with that.
Still America.
Still America. Thank God. If we're still around after coronavirus, then we'll hopefully still make it out to Anaheim. I hope that doesn't get canceled. That would be a real bummer.
That would be a huge bummer.
That'd be a real bummer.
We would have to have our own Star Wars celebration
in this dining room.
Right here.
Well,
hopefully the loft will be good.
The loft will be finished.
Let's be honest. If you would come.
Come on. Whoa, phrasing.
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
To our home base.
Wow.
For celebration, let us know.
Sounds like you're about to throw the address out.
I am absolutely not going to do that.
I mean, some I'd have over. Maybe not put it on the interwebs, just out there.
No.
But some people could.
Yeah.
Come. Absolutely.
A select.
There you go.
That's right.
I was wondering where you're going with that, Holly. But so yeah, Luke isn't here. He was unable to make it. He had some, family trip, and when you're hauling 2 kids around in uncharted territory on a weekend, things can get hectic. I'm sure. I have no idea because I don't have children, but it's what I hear, Holly. I hear it can get a little hectic.
I have a dog, so I mean,
I would say it's comparable, right?
I think so.
Chewie's kind of crazy. Nah, he's great. He's passed out.
Yep.
But so Luke's not able to join us, and it's a pity. I want to get his thoughts on a couple comic books that we're going to talk about today. I know some of you guys really aren't into the comics, and that's okay. We'll try to drop a little knowledge on you. It's good canon stuff. Some of it I have issues with.
I would like to hear that when we get to that.
Issues, I guess.
I
have issues with the issues.
We all have issues, Michael.
Amen. Amen.
Look,
preach. Get up on that pulpit.
Here I am.
Come on.
I wasn't into the comics really. I don't think I had ever seriously picked up a comic book until I started reading some of these Star Wars ones.
Yeah.
And I am really into them now. I like them a
fun,
lot.
Right?
It is really fun. It's a different medium, and I like that.
It is. Good, quick reads. We got that sweet app now, and it's great. Makes reading a lot easier. So first, I think we'll probably get into the first one we read. The 3rd installment of the Rise of Kylo Ren. Mm-hmm. This is the issue before the finale. So we got one more episode or one more issue, probably in another month. And a lot more young Ben Solo just finding his way in the galaxy, and maybe not being the most honest about his past, Holly. So can I start here? We got Ben Solo walking into a bar. No, this isn't a bad joke.
Oh shoot, I thought it was.
A young, annoying brat teenager walks into a bar.
Get him out.
Get him out of here. We don't serve annoying young brats at this establishment. No, it's not a joke. He does walk into a bar, and at the bar, this is silly to me, are the Knights of Ren. Could we not? I don't know. I guess going into an old watering hole, but they all have their masks on, and I get they're trying to be an intimidating force, but this is you're at happy hour. Let your hair down.
Let your hair down.
What'd you think of that?
I actually wasn't even fazed by them being in a bar because
okay. Go ahead.
I just feel like we see everyone sitting around a cantina, so
well, even in their full garb though. I mean, I'm okay with them going to a watering hole, but take your helmet off. Well,
tell that to the Mandalorian.
Well, Ren does, right?
Yeah, but
at least the leader, we think he's Ren, whatever his name is.
Well, he says he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. He takes his helmet off because he thinks that Ben Solo is being too nervous around him.
Yeah, he's like, I know it's intimidating.
Let me just take
let me take this off.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me let my hair down.
Uh-huh.
Great hair, by the way. I mean, great head of hair.
Yeah, but creepy dude.
Creepy dude. I could not agree more. But the rest of the night's just sitting there in their full garb, weapons, helmets, at the bar, getting a beverage. And he says, oh, hey, didn't expect to see you here, Ben. You found us. We were about to leave. And so Ben seeks him out and says he wants to, he doesn't say join them, but he wants to learn from them, right? And they claim that they sense that he's strong in the shadow, which is the Force, right? Or the dark side of the Force. But Ben wants to learn from him. He's like, I got things to offer. I'm strong, this and that. And he's like, I believe you. Snoke vouches for you. But we told you what you would need to do to join us.
Well, he says Snoke vouches for him, but there are too many maybes. Which I kind of want to know, maybe what?
Maybe what?
Maybe what else?
Well, remember what Snoke said in The Last Jedi. Or in the comic books, Snoke even says Luke Skywalker would have been a better apprentice. He knows how powerful he is. And he questions in The Last Jedi, you have too much of your father in you. He doubts him.
But does he, or is that reverse psychology?
I think he honestly doubts him. I think he genuinely thinks that there's too much goodness in him, and that he is kind of a coward, so to speak, like his father. That's how he views him. So I think he does. I think he genuinely thinks that he may not pan out, and I'm sure he has, contingency plans. If we think that, Palpatine's involved somehow, he definitely does. So yeah, he says you're pretty much going to have to prove yourself because there's too many maybes here, even though, good old Snoke vouches for you. We know you're strong in the Force, but we told you before, like someone's got to die in order to really come join us, right?
It was like a gang initiation.
Absolutely.
You can't join, right? You can't join the gang until you murder
somebody.
I don't know.
Well, obviously it's messed up. Or, have you experienced such hazing?
No, never in my life.
No sorority action, no
phrasing.
Binge drink. Wow. I actually don't want to know. I got to stop the stories there.
The hazing is the drinking of the Michelob Ultra on the podcast.
Well, we'll do some fun things with the Michelobs in later installments. I'm thinking some shotgunning through hyperspace. I don't know. How's that?
Yeah.
You take a question, you take a can.
Mm-hmm. Or like drunk trivia trials.
Yeah.
You get the question wrong.
Yeah.
You shotgun the Michelob.
Well, wow.
Holy
that would
moly.
On camera. That would be intense.
That would be super intense.
I had my share of beverages on the trivia trials in past installments. One was sloppy. I felt so bad, but there were one too many. That was the psychopathy. Those were the dark times and the dark side.
The days.
It
the way back.
through it. That's right. So he says, I have killed someone. Oh, really? Tell us about it. And so this is where we see Ben. He's talking about the three we talked about. If you guys recall the last episodes where we discussed the Rise of Kylo Ren, there were a few Jedi apprentices that survived the destruction of the temple, and they went after Ben. Well, they continued to follow him. And then we see Ben talking to the Knights of Ren here, and he gives them a little flashback. He says, well, let me tell you what happened. I did kill somebody. I killed a Jedi. And they're like, oh, yeah, Snoke said you killed, Luke Skywalker, but, he's hard to kill. I don't think it was him. He's like, no, someone else. And so he takes us back in time a few days, I guess. Before whenever this happened, after the destruction of the temple. And those three Jedi apprentices catch up with him and confront him. Ty, and Jim Bob. Hennix.
Oh my goodness.
Who was the other one? Ty, Hennix, and Vo or Vi? Not
Vo. It was Vo.
Vo. Approach him and confront him, and he's like, just leave me alone. Like, just let me leave.
Which is the same interaction that he had with them in the previous.
Exactly. Very similar interaction. But they're not going to let him go, at least quietly. So there's a confrontation, and it ends up, I don't want to go through every detail, but there is a death. We believe, at least. It looks like one of them died, right?
But we don't know for sure.
And all of it seemed kind of incidental, right? So Vo is, I think it's Vo, right? It is definitely Vo, is the one who really wants him to pay for this. Hennix believes, Hennix is the one who's kind of in the middle, and what's the other guy's name? Ty. He really believes that Ben's going through some stuff, but he's not bad. But Vo really wants to see him suffer for what he did to Luke in the temple. So
what she thinks
he did. That's exactly.
Because that's an important detail in this comic, is that earlier, I think 2 of these ago, 2 issues ago, he said that he was not the one, or we see that he wasn't the one who burnt the temple down.
That's right.
Somebody else did it.
But he's taking the claim for it here, though. He's claiming that he did do that. He told the Knights that he did that too. So she confronts him. She's like, "You're a murderer," and he's like, "Yada yada yada. You want to see a murder?" And he pushes her off a cliff or whatever. But he catches her.
But he had lost his temper.
And it was kind of cool how they did it in the comic. You kind of see his face where he's like, Traitor. It's kind of like that same face from The Force Awakens, which was cool. And he force pushed her off a cliff, but he caught her and after he did that, right?
Because he like snapped out of it and he realized what he
He's
did. At
like,
least
"No,
that's the way that,
Yeah, right. He snapped out of it. So you can definitely, you're sensing even through the comic, the dark side kind of boiling in him in these moments. Because a part of him probably doesn't, he knows it's not his fault, but like,
I'm getting blamed for it.
Blamed for it, and
it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Kind of, yeah, it actually is.
Okay, you're telling me that I'm so terrible, so watch me now.
Exactly.
Watch me be terrible.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
And what's crazy too is he's describing this to the Knights of Ren. There's flashbacks, right? So we go from this confrontation or whatever, and they approach him, and then we get a flashback, and Ren, the leader. We think that's his name. Wants Ben to go through the details. Like, okay, who are these people? And he goes through and he does the introductions from when they were younger, when they were at the academy, at Luke's temple, which was really cool, I thought. And I know Luke, Luke Elder, really enjoyed this scene too, as did I, because we're finally seeing a little bit of Luke's temple and what it kind of looked like. And they're out in this meadow outside the temple, and it's great. And they're lifting rocks. And Luke says something really awesome to, it was Vo, right?
Yep.
She seems to be struggling with the lesson or whatever. And we find out that she is often comparing herself to Ben. Knowing that he's a Skywalker, knowing that he's powerful, she's like, I need to be better than him. So every time they're competing, she's always trying to one-up him. And Luke says something really profound to her. And we get another little insight into the Force.
Do you remember what he said?
I don't recall. Do you remember what he said? Okay.
Because she gets frustrated that Ben is stronger and better, and Luke is like, Ben isn't stronger. That's not how it works, being the Force. And he says the Force can be a trickle, a stream, a river, a flood for anyone who can sense it.
Let's go.
Think of yourself as a door. The wider you open, the more easily the Force flows through you.
Phrasing.
Some people just start out with their door a bit more open, but any door can open wide.
Gosh, it's a great lesson.
It is a great lesson.
In a lot of regards.
And it's hard to learn sometimes.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Rey, kind of was experiencing, right? Like, all she knows about, the Force is that it helps the Jedi, lift rocks or whatever, or mind control, whatever it is that she knew. But
can I say something about that real quick? And I think we should get Luke's input on this. Definitely. Since he's the one who sent it. So next time we'll bring him into this conversation. Yeah. But I know that there historically has been a lot of talk about, he's too old to learn how to be a Jedi. But then Luke makes this quote, which to me, when I read, some people just start out with their door a bit more open, but any door can open wide. It kind of seems to me that you can be a lifetime learner in the Jedi Academy. You can get that slower start, and it doesn't really matter what age you are or how experienced you are. If you are Force sensitive, you can learn how to do these things at any time.
And so that was a mistake of the Jedi, right? And the Council, that Anakin himself, he's too old or whatever. And a lot of them thought that that's why he was so aggressive, or because they needed to get. It's the same thing as the stormtroopers, get to him at a young age and really, I don't know, and inflict upon them your will, whatever that is, right? And so that was a mistake of the Jedi. I mean, Anakin, there were other things at play, right, that kind of turned him. But Luke is a great example. Luke Skywalker was even older and became this great Jedi master. And so that's definitely something that we're seeing that's different. And you're exactly right. Luke has learned that himself. And I'm sure with other, younglings, he's experienced that as well. And with Rey too, he doesn't tell her she's too old, right? He's just annoyed with the Jedi in the past and his failure and stuff like that. but he's willing to train her, and she does tap into that, and he explains it in a similar way here.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating that if you can sense it, it flows through you, and it may just take more time, and some are just more open to it. And Rey is probably one of those people whose door was, a little wider open than anyone.
And I think that in this issue, especially, you kind of get to see a glimpse of how Luke was as a teacher, because you don't really get that. You don't have that insight when you just see the movies, which I think is why the comics and the books are so important.
Absolutely.
Because it kind of gives you that additional information about this person's character that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
But you kind of can see, like you said, when he finally caves and is like, okay, I will teach you some of the ways of the Force to Rey.
Yeah.
You kind of see him, the parallels between him before, I don't know what you want to call it, the incident.
Yeah.
And then him when he's with Rey.
Yeah.
You can see that patience and that guidance coming through.
And it's cool to see just the varying states or varying talents of the younglings too, right? Because we have Hennix, who's very was it Ty. Ty is kind of a mind reader, and that's why he is the one of the 3 young apprentices here that senses the good in Ben and reads his mind every time they confront him, and know he's just struggling with something, guys. He just needs friends. He needs people to understand that. So that's really his talent. We see, that kind of playing out and more canon stuff. And then I can't remember what Hennix's talent. What was Hennix's?
Yeah, so he was more the brains, solving puzzles, and
that's right.
He was
talking to a holocron before, right? Yeah.
I think the way that he was portrayed was that he could pretty much figure anything out.
Yeah.
And you hear Ren say that, okay, so he's the brains.
He's the brains, yeah. And it was funny too, because he was floating this holocron in front of him, and Luke was talking to him, and he's like, is this holocron going to be speaking Huttese? Because I'm not really fluent in it. I'm only fluent in other stuff. And then he with his mind or whatever it is that he did, he opens it up and communicates with the holocron, that was cool. So you're seeing, these special traits with all these characters, and which was kind of a cool way of doing it, with Ren kind of intrigued as to who he killed, and I'm sure he doesn't hear much about Jedi, so he's curious as to what that experience was like. And so ultimately, he tells, Ren all this information, and the confrontation does lead what looks to be Hennix's death. So he goes and he pushes Vo, right? Is it Vo? I feel like it's not Vo.
It is.
Okay, it's totally Vo. He pushes her off the cliff, holds her, though, when he realizes what he's done, right? Hennix comes up from behind and throws a lightsaber at him, and it breaks his concentration, drops Vo, and I think he then uses the Force and pushes the lightsaber back at Hennix, and that appears to be what probably got him.
But we don't know for sure, because then he just comes down off the cliff, and he, pushes Ty and Vo out of his way.
Yeah. He pushes them into a temple.
Yeah.
And buries them in it.
He destroys the temple.
He kind of caves in the entrance, and they're stuck there.
Yeah.
And leaves them there to presumably die.
No, I don't know. I don't think that was his intention, though, because he would have just killed them if he wanted them out of the way, right?
That's very true, because he walked right past them. You're absolutely right. And so I think the Knights are, intrigued, cool, whatever. We're not sure we believe you. It doesn't sound like they call it a good death, right? They don't necessarily believe some of the stuff that he's saying, or that it wasn't gruesome enough, or whatever it was. And they said, you can tag along. We got to find you a new wardrobe.
They're just all very vain.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It just shows you how much they don't value life. Mm-hmm. And it's really disturbing.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to know more about these guys, because they're just not that interesting, right? Yeah. And I just want to know why they are the way they are, what exactly it is that they're doing. But they recruit them, right? And they give them a little change of clothes, and they on their way. And they said, let's find something to burn. So it sounds like they just, pillage for...
They're just like gangsters.
Whatever, yeah. So that was that issue. I have, I have some concerns with it. It wasn't a terrible issue. I thought it was some of the stuff on at Luke's temple was cool, but I wish they would have done more issues of this, because I was really hoping to see some more of Ben and Luke out, I don't know. I don't want to reference the fate of the Jedi too much, but it was such a good series, and Ben Skywalker and his dad Luke going out and going on missions and stuff. That's kind of what I was hoping to see and I was expecting from this, but it's not what we're getting.
We just saw it once in the first issue.
Very, very, very small instance of that. So it's kind of been a bummer for me, because I want to see a little more of that relationship and why we should be. I don't know if we'll even find out what happened to Ben here. It doesn't feel like we're going to. We kind of glossed over a lot of that.
I feel like it's really setting us up to kind of see how he came to be the head of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they're going to do it with one more issue.
Yeah.
I guess things are going to have to escalate very quickly.
Yeah, Ren, dies, or maybe that is the good death. Maybe it's Ben killing Ren.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was going to be something along the lines of that. And I mean, they make him a very unlikable Ren. They make him a very unlikable character. You don't really like him, but here we are, like, being empathetic towards Ben Solo. So I kind of feel like in that situation, they're setting you up to be rooting for Ben Solo to come in and take this guy out.
Yeah. Great call.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it could be interesting. We need a novel or something to fill in some of this time period. If we're not going to have a television show about it or something, I really hope that I know we don't want to revisit that stuff a bunch now. We've kind of moving on from the Skywalker saga, but
you want to fill in the gaps.
I feel like you have to.
I mean, okay.
If you're gonna show us a 4-issue comic book about Kylo Ren and give us these kind of random glimpses into things that have happened. I mean, ultimately, this was supposed to show us and make us feel empathy for Ben Solo before the Rise of Skywalker, right? It was effective in that regard. But now
we have more questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did this relationship between Ben and Snoke start? What happened between Luke and Snoke?
Yeah.
Who are the Knights of Ren? Where did they come from? What are they doing? Like you said, you've asked those questions. I know we've all asked those questions, and now I feel like you're getting a little bit of a glimpse into it, and I just want to know more, because I have more unanswered questions now at the end of this comic series than I had coming into it.
And what happened with Ben and Luke?
What happened?
Like, why does he hate his uncle so much? Why? I'm sure, other than ultimately in at the temple, what we see in The Last Jedi, Luke failing him in that moment, there was more before that.
And there was also a quote in this issue that kind of got me thinking, and it's where Ben is having the conversation with Ty, and Ty's trying to like tap into his psyche and be like, you just have to be comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
And he is like,
great call,
feeling really down on himself, and like, I don't know, like talking like he was a failure, or that like everyone knows where he came from and he can't be as great as everyone thinks that he is. And I just like,
just gotta be who you are.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where that mentality came from.
Is it? I mean, it's something we've speculated on in the past, but is it just that there were so many expectations
from his parents, or from Luke?
From everyone.
Yeah, being
a Skywalker.
But wasn't he meeting those? And that, I mean, you see that with Vo being jealous of his skills. So it's something else.
It could just be that he wanted more. That the life of a Padawan, or an apprentice to Luke Scott wasn't enough. He was destined for more. And that could also be Palpatine manipulating him, right? I mean, Palpatine admitted all along he's been manipulating the kid all along. So there's more there, but that's the thing. You take The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker and this comic book, and there's so many more questions. Yeah. It's like we need a novel to really, why not flesh that out more? Why? Why wouldn't you? Because you're teasing it in these little places, and if they just move on from this, it's going to really kind of stink.
We'll get the answer in 30 years.
That would be terrible.
Right.
But I guess there's still time. There's hope because they're finishing up this comic line. So I hope we're not abandoning it. I really hope so, because it's one of the most fascinating stories of this entire sequel trilogy, right? And then including the comic book in here, because it's the same era.
Yeah. And
so,
you're not being left with any closure.
Yeah, but that's what's made the Skywalker saga so intriguing, is the family drama behind it. I love it. And so what really set Ben off? We know, it not ultimately he did. He's screaming, at the commander to blow his uncle up in that walker. So something's wrong. Like, there's a lot of darkness there.
But that had to have happened long after this, because he is not that angry this early on in his life.
No.
So
everything's just kind of incidental. It doesn't.
It's just all that manipulation that's coming through from Snoke, and he's just feeding him all of this anger and hate. You know what happens.
Yeah, but I still feel like it's not that clear. To me, it just isn't very clear, and I just need a little more.
Need more.
But they might not, and that kind of stinks. We'll see. We'll see for sure. So that's the first issue we're going to talk about tonight, right? It wasn't terrible, but I was expecting more for the whole line itself. But the second comic book we're talking about today is issue 3 of the Star Wars main line, for starting in 2020. So this issue, Holly, we're with our heroes. We're with Luke. We're with Leia. We're with Lando. Looking to go back to Cloud City. And pick up that lightsaber that Luke lost, right?
And I think a few more things, it sounds like.
Yeah, it turns out, it wasn't just everyone going to Cloud City to find Luke's lightsaber because he's going to need it to be a Jedi. I love when we were reading it, Holly goes, does everyone have an errand on Cloud City? It was great.
They're all like questioning each other. Like, wait, why are you coming?
Why are you coming? Well, I got this other thing. Oh, okay. And then someone's like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're not coming with me?" No, I got a thing too. I got to do. Everyone's just kind of like has a thing.
And there's so many secrets, and nobody's even asking like any questions. Like, well, what are you doing? Yeah. What do you need?
Well, before we get to our heroes and their little return to Cloud City, let's talk about Commander Zara?
I'd say Zara.
Yeah, I say Zara too. We saw her, a couple issues back. The commander of a Star Destroyer called Tarkin's Will. Mm-hmm. Is that correct, Holly? Yeah. And I think a couple issues back, we suspected she may even be a little force sensitive, right? Because she's making these really lucky shots without any targeting computers, kind of, similar to Luke Skywalker. And so, God, I hope I'm not getting bronchitis.
Oh, no.
Oh, my throat's getting all dry and gross and stuff.
Drink that Coca-Cola.
It could be the Coke, could be the bronchitis that my sister had.
Could be the paint.
Could be the paint. God, Holly, like I said, if I black out, take over, edit this puppy, get it up, and we'll be good.
Well, I have some thoughts about this comic, so I'll be able to pick up where we left off.
Thank God. So we're talking to Zara, right? And they supposedly just destroyed this rebel cell and all the ships they could identify, and now they're on to look for other rebel cells. But she has this second in command who says, "Okay, we're gonna let's get the ship patched up," and she flips out on him, right? How dare you? Like, you don't understand. Like this, I don't. It's kind of weird that she just flipped out, but he just says, "Hey, we want to make some fixes to things that have been damaged," and then she says,
do you know what the ship symbolizes?
Yeah, it was kind of random. It just kind of set her off.
Do you know what this stands for?
Do you know what this thing stands for? So it is Tarkin's Will. And she tells us a little story of how the ship came to be and the crew. And we find out that this ship survived the blast of the Death Star. And it looks like it was in a very close proximity to the Death Star, which if you go back and you watch the destruction of the first Death Star, you don't really see much around other than our heroes leaving, I think. So, but who knows? It could have been a little speck there, and it's bit of a retcon, but I'll allow it because an explosion that large, I mean, it'd be like a sun, exploding. How
supernova.
A supernova. It would be, pretty catastrophic, and anything nearby would probably be rock. So who knows? It may not have been located directly beside the Death Star, but let's say in that galaxy, because that's probably
in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, in the whole galaxy. It's a couple parsecs away, I'm sure.
But it survived.
Took a little damage from that, and so this commander takes offense to him, saying we need to make some repairs, and it gives him this whole story and says, you know what, when Lord Vader, gave me the job of finding the rebels who were responsible for this. He said, you can take any ship in the fleet. And she took this ship. And was it Tarkin's old ship?
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called it before. Now I forget.
Started with an F.
Yeah. Good call.
Anyway.
So it did have a prior name, and I believe it was Tarkin's ship. So she took it, rebranded it, called it Tarkin's Will. And it's full of, it was actually dedicated to those who were lost, the millions of souls who were lost on the Death Star and its destruction. So
she said she only hired crew members who had lost somebody in that explosion.
Which is really fascinating. So did you get the name of that yet?
I'm looking up.
So Zara, she's got all of these people who are pissed off that they lost family. Fortitude. Nice call.
I knew it started with an F. I was like, well, what is it?
Luke probably would have known that, but hey, I have very, very short-term memory. I'm surprised I recall any more of these books. So she's got this ship, right, that survived the Death Star. It's full of, family and survivors of the Death Star. They're all pissed off, right? So she's got this whole ship full of people that just want nothing but vengeance for the ones they lost, right? So she gives out a chant or whatever, and you see all these fists just chanting, and
they never forget.
They're never gonna forget. It was we're never gonna forget what happened, and we're gonna fight, for justice. Which was, it may seem a little cheesy to some in the beginning. I'll be honest, I did, but it's actually kind of nice that you're seeing something from the Empire's perspective during this moment, which you don't see much of in Star Wars.
Yeah,
and that they're using it as a rallying cry for the Empire.
She said,
right?
This vessel is a memorial to the great tragedy of the Death Star and an instrument of vengeance for everyone who died with it.
Amen. Yeah. So that's cool, right? Because I mean, we see our heroes, and we see the destruction of their planets, Alderaan. Like they're using that as a rallying cry. Even like Jeddah later on, it's a rallying cry for the troops and Rogue One. But we don't really see that from the perspective of the Empire. Now, you do a little bit in Battlefront 2 in the campaign mode. You see a little bit of that. And I want to say in Lost Stars we do as well, which is a book Holly needs to read. That needs to be one of the next book club books. We'll see. Okay. Throw it up there as one of your top. And
I'll put it on the list.
It's so good. So that it may have been in that point too, but
it's just like another way that they're starting to humanize villains,
and giving these people a reason to be going and seeking out and making it so personal that they will do whatever it takes to find these rebels. So I thought that was really cool. So that was kind of an interesting, little tidbit there in the beginning. So we're back with our heroes. We get to Cloud City, which is overrun with the Empire, right? I mean, that was Lord Vader's doing. It's full of stormtroopers now. There's turrets everywhere, and you got Lando coming in, kind of smoothing over one of the pilots that confront them when they kind of come into the Cloud City realm, and he's about to shoot him down. He says, "Whoa, it's the administrator of this facility." And
he knows him personally.
He asks how his son's doing. And so he makes it through, initial security there, but they start getting shot at by others, and And then it turns out he's got a nice little like Apple Watch, thing, and he shuts down all the turrets, right? Just by the press of a button on his wrist. So he had some main override measure on his watch and shut everything down. So they get on a Cloud City, and that's where things start to unravel because it was funny. You're like, we're getting the lightsaber, we're getting out, and it's like, wait a second, I told you guys I got a debt I gotta go pay. And so Lando kind of splits off, and
Leia leaves.
Leia's like, I got something I got to attend to too. And Luke's like, can I help you? She's like, no, we need to split up. You go find your saber. We'll get out here quickly. So Lando goes and seeks out his old friend Lobot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's hooked up to some weird machines.
He's hooked up to 100 different cables.
It kind of felt like, which we'll talk about, kind of felt like Echo.
In bless it.
The Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was a pretty similar situation.
It was.
So yeah, Lobot had those upgrades and on his head, and they were making the best of it, using him for whatever purpose. So apparently that's who he owes a debt to, and he's gonna try to go save him. Now Leia is there on Cloud City, and she goes to the Carbonite freezing chamber.
We know who she's looking for.
Looking for Han. Well, Leia finds herself in a pickle, right? And what was funny is she's got a scarf over her face, trying to go in all incognito, and
she gets captured.
Stormtroopers show up, realize that she's not an Ugnaught, which was really funny. She's like, she gets busted, and she's like, hey, I'm just making sure this thing's ready for Carbonite freezing. And he's like, that's funny because that's what the Ugnaughts do. And then he stunned her, which was great. And
he's like, you don't look like an Ugnaught.
You don't look like an Ugnaught.
Well, that's true.
But she doesn't, yeah.
No, not at all.
So Leia indisposed, and then Luke finds the level where Lando had told him his lightsaber would be, because he explained it all. It was really funny. Lando was like, hey, it's a wind tunnel. Like anything that falls in there goes to this one place in this one deck area. You'll be able to find it in no time. Right? So Luke's like, cool, gonna go get my saber, get out of there, get with my friends.
If only it were that easy.
And this thing is like the trash compactor times 1 billion. It is, it's like a huge landfill pretty much, right?
Yeah,
Holly?
you know that scene in Aladdin?
Ooh, I don't recall.
Oh, okay. Well, he like goes down into the lion, and it's like this big chamber filled with treasures. It's kind of like that, but this isn't treasure.
But it's not treasure, it's
well, I
junk.
guess what they say is one man's trash is another man's treasure.
That's right. There's a couple Ugnaughts in there sorting through stuff, but
yeah,
you can just see Luke was a tiny little, speck amongst all this junk. And he's just like, are you kidding me?
I know,
like,
he was mad.
What am I going to do? Now, it ends with, an image of Leia frozen in Carbonite. And a sneak peek of the next issue in a month shows her in Carbonite and Vader kind of observing her in Carbonite. So that could be interesting. But Holly,
what were your problems?
You want to hear my problems, or I want to hear your thoughts on the issue?
I mean, can I be honest?
Come on, you didn't care.
I didn't.
Okay.
This issue didn't really do anything for me. I don't really feel like it gave me, other than like the end where Leia's in Carbonite, I just kind of felt like it didn't really give me any information that like I needed to know. That's
fair.
I mean, I guess it needed to set you up to show why they all were on Cloud City at the same time again.
Yeah.
But I just I don't know. I feel like it could have been done differently. But hey, I'm not the writer.
Yeah, no, it seems kind of crazy. And if you think about it, now think about episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, sorry.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Yes.
So after Luke loses his hand, he goes down that wind tunnel, right?
Yep.
I guess I just kind of thought the saber was gone, right?
Well, it still could be.
It still could be, but Lando said everything goes into that one place from that area. The saber and Luke look like they went down the same shaft.
Whoa.
Phrasing. Wow. But am I wrong? Guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but it looked like they went down the same place. So, in theory, Luke should have went there as well, unless there's some sorting that goes on in the tunnel. But Luke ends up on the bottom of the city, essentially, so to speak, right? Or whatever that area of the city was, hanging there. Remember when he gets He's sitting there holding on with one arm.
Yeah.
I guess I thought that they would have ended up in the same place, which was probably,
so
to their death.
So from watching the movie, you just assume that if you fall, you get spit out.
Kind of.
Into space. You're in the abyss.
You kind of like junk.
Sayonara.
Yeah, like people just throw their junk out there or something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Like Earth.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's space.
But it's space.
But it's filled with trash.
Yes.
But not Luke's lightsaber.
Well, yeah, it's still out there. No, I just guess I assumed it was gone.
That's a great question. I didn't think about that.
I don't know. It's just, for me, it seems silly that we're going back and looking for this lightsaber, and I get it almost feels like it's his only, way to Ben. It's his only way to connect to the Force, I guess.
He also feels very lost without his hand. And
very true. You're
right.
I
think that lightsaber acts as an anchor for him.
You know what? You're absolutely right, because he even mentions that figure, the cloaked figure, remember? And his mind keeps going back to that.
He keeps having all these flashbacks, which they've shown every single issue in this line. He's having all these flashbacks. He cannot let it go.
So he can't
let it go.
So he probably thinks he's going to get answers, right? And that's why he's so obsessed with it.
But here's something else.
Yeah.
Lando could be wrong.
Lando could be wrong.
I mean, Lando's been wrong before.
He has. But, I mean, did Maz go through that whole, mountain of trash? I don't know.
Now that you're talking about it, I guess it kind of makes, like, the mystery of Luke's lost lightsaber a little less intriguing.
A little bit.
Because I'm like, so it didn't get lost. See, now you got me thinking about it. Now you got me all worked up.
Or an Ugnaught stumbles across it and
oh my God,
accidentally impales himself.
Oh, I thought you were going to say takes it.
Wow.
What about like a Jedi Ugnaught? That wasn't one of the options on the Star Wars name chart.
Please. And you know what? I hope that he would be paired up with a Hutt Jedi.
I mean, they would make a badass team.
Well, we'd have to get a name for the Ugnaught Jedi. Walho and...
Aldas. And what was yours?
I don't recall.
We never call you it.
I know.
It must not have been good. Let's do it again.
It was bad. We'll do one for the Ugnaught too. That would be fantastic, Holly. I kind of hope we do see an Ugnaught get that lightsaber and he takes it into his, quarters and just kind of waves it around.
He like works his way to freedom and ends up at Maz's,
God,
and then she takes
freaking great.
the lightsaber. He loses it in a gamble. Wait, are we going in a big?
He starts gambling. He pays off his his.
I'm just speculating here, but
no, I think
anything could happen.
I think that's a great maybe some fan fiction.
Is that what I'm writing right now?
I think so. I mean, you're a great artist, so I think you'd probably be a great writer too.
I could do a comic book.
I believe you
do the writing and the art.
No, I would want a teen, a young adult fiction here with an Ugnaught, maybe a lost lover that he's coming back to, and he's like, check out that, I got this laser sword.
Who would
I did this for you.
Who would his lost lover be?
I don't know.
It wouldn't be a Hutt.
No, I'm presuming another Ugnaught. I don't know.
Does it have to be?
I don't know how biology works.
We're about diversity in this.
Oh, I am too, but I just don't know if it works. Right? Phrasing.
Anyway.
So our heroes are left in a bit of a pickle. All of them, right? Mm-hmm. Because even with Lando, stormtroopers show up and he's trying to get Luke to come help him. So they're all in a pickle. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I totally understand what you're saying, Holly, because this is, and even in Luke, I know when we talk to Luke about this, he sees comic books as kind of like a very, very, very light canon. Like, doesn't go all into it, loves it, appreciates it, but when it's not great, it's kind of just a light canon. So this is kind of that for me, especially I'm okay with him going back, and I'll even accept the laser sword being a hunk of trash, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Even Lando going back to save Lobot, like whatever. But Leia getting frozen in carbonite, I don't know why it just doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't sit well with me. And I don't think it sits well with Luke either, because he didn't want to spoil the issue for me before I'd read it. And he had some issues with it, and I'm assuming we're maybe on the same page there. But everything else was fine. But that just, I don't know how I feel about that.
Han and Leia. Two lovers
frozen in time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna have to get out of that situation anyway because she goes and rescues him. So maybe that'll tell us a little more about how she gets to that point. But we've got many issues to go. If this thing is gonna go as long as the first line, then we've got a while. We've definitely got a while.
I think the thing that doesn't sit well is Darth Vader observe. Are you sure it was Leia?
Yeah, I mean, is it someone else?
No. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think it was the image we saw of her frozen. But I don't know, guys. I mean, what do you think? Are you okay with Leia being frozen? I mean, is that... I don't know. We want interesting things to happen, but maybe not that interesting. I don't know.
How does our princess get out of it?
I don't know. I'm so okay with a lot of things, but I don't know why. Like, and that's kind of strange because I was okay with Vader and Luke confronting each other, before, they actually confront each other. So from the first main line, that's what happens right in the beginning. Luke's in this freaking cool gold jacket, and he just runs into Lord Vader. He's like, I'm going to take him, and he gets his butt whooped. But I loved it, and I was okay with it, even though, we think his first confrontation was later on. But I think I was okay with it because he got his butt whooped, and he needed to learn.
Yep. And
it works for me. But this, I just don't know why. And maybe it's just because Han it's so special that he's the one that's frozen, and
it's
iconic. He survives. It is iconic.
It absolutely is.
It's one of the most iconic scenes in all of Star Wars,
you can
in all
him,
of film.
You can get him as a refrigerator. You can get him as a coffee table. You can get him as an ice cube tray. I don't see Leia.
Well, now when I go to the cons, we go to Anaheim because that's where they sell a lot of this stuff. And
we can be Han and Leia and Carbonite.
Oh my God!
What?
Would you?
No.
One day.
I would never cosplay. Props to people who do it.
Why are you so anti-cosplay?
I don't know.
Because you like to be cool. That's the one thing about Holly. She doesn't look uncool unless she's walking her dog at 8 a.m. And
I think my rain boots and my
pink
leggings
yoga
look fine.
pants
fine.
and rain boots. But you wouldn't cosplay.
I don't know.
An hour's worth of cosplay.
Maybe.
Because what's funny is that a lot of people there aren't going to get it. And that's funny. They'll be like, are you both Han? No. Did you read the comic book?
Do you know what you're seeing?
Maybe. Do you know Star Wars, brah? Sorry.
I mean, but maybe.
We were never like that with people.
We'll be in California, though, so everything's going to be brah.
Is it, though?
I don't
We're going to have
know.
to ask Brent. I have no idea.
Are we being offensive? Do you think every listener from California is like, wow, this podcast sucks.
Well,
I'm turning it off.
I mean, some, and they probably left the 1-star reviews. Nope. They didn't.
Too much Star Wars hate.
Too much Star Wars hate, but it would probably, our French listeners probably don't. Our French Canadians. Yeah.
It's because the Acadians.
Because you're from Maine.
No, it's because I never ate the damn snail.
Oh, my God. We still have to do that. You're right.
Oh my God.
That needs to happen. It's going to have to happen outside, though, because I'm going to tell you right now, no vomit will happen on these new floors.
I'm shocked at how many people have told me, oh, I had snail. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. That's what we've heard.
If you can deep fry it and give me some cocktail sauce and I can just pretend it's a shrimp.
Maybe. I mean, I would allow it because I'm going to have to eat it too. So I want that thing fried if we can. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We still owe, from that bet, we owe everyone a snail guzzle.
Maybe we
wash it down with a little Ultra. You'll be good.
Slurp it like an oyster.
I might gag, so we'll have to do that outside and
with a
film
Michelob Ultra.
I'll wash it down with a Michelob.
It needs to be
well,
chased.
Technically, doesn't Luke have to do it now too, since he's a part of the podcast?
Yes. This is going to be a group effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Or he at least has to film the thing and clean up the vomit. But
nasty.
So, Holly, I think that's a great cosplay idea.
I mean, okay, Han and Leia, frozen and Carbonite.
It's one of the best that I've heard. Because I've seen Han, I've seen 100 Hans. Han and Leia?
Never.
I mean...
See, it's just better with you now. You're welcome.
It's so great. I'm down. We're going to make this happen, guys.
You'll see us in 171 days.
Is that how many days? Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. The countdown begins, Holly. Guys, let's petition Holly to get on board with this idea. And I am totally down to, at least for an hour, cosplay as Han and Leia, frozen in Carbonite, together. I would say forever, but we know it's not. Wow, that felt personal. It didn't mean to be.
Who gets?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
Come on. Get it out. I feel like, you're half deep in that Michelob Ultra. Just get it out.
It must be Mercury because I almost asked who
Retrograde.
gets. Damn you! I almost asked who gets unfrozen first.
Yeah.
Do you even watch Star Wars?
Well, that depends on, in what space time you're talking.
Oh
Are we in a
my
black
God.
hole?
Time has stopped completely.
If Han's in the black hole and Leia isn't, well, then Leia's getting frozen first.
Anything's game.
Anything's game.
Especially
in a black
because
hole.
you were talking
Phrasing.
about. Wow.
Phrasing.
You were talking about the Death Star being a supernova. We know those collapse into a black hole.
God, if only. That would have been I don't know. Wouldn't have been a cleaner death.
Can you imagine
destruction.
a black hole in Star Wars? Like, you just get too close to that, event horizon, and then, the whole empire gets sucked in. That's the end of it.
I'm actually okay with them exploring a little more of that space, Act like literal space. I'm not talking explosions, phrasing. I'm talking space, And if you think about it, I don't know, so many phrasings in space. That's crazy.
So many phrases.
Black holes, explosions,
Those are
supernovas.
Is that a phrasing?
I don't know. I think the paint's getting to me, to be honest. I
Check out my
lost my damn
supernova.
mind. Hello. Yeah. Heard
Whoa.
that once or twice.
Oh, wow.
That was personal. But to me, Leia and Carbonite wasn't a big fan.
Okay.
And I think Luke's going to say the same thing. So you didn't really care either way. Wasn't your favorite issue, we'll say that.
I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
the
come on.
comics are meant to explore things
Yeah.
that the films didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's a point to
Yeah.
this.
Uh-huh.
And it might explain something later.
Yeah, it might be one of those, those issues where it just gets us to a point that we, love.
But
Maybe.
not the lightsaber.
I don't know. I got to see how it plays out. It kind of bothered me because that's what I assumed happened. It just kind of went off, just like Luke did. I don't know. Why is it bothering me so much? I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's just one of those nights. Maybe
It's
it's
just
the
one of
paint.
those nights. It's the paint.
It's the paint.
It's the full moon.
A little high. Full moon. I mean, Mercury's in retrograde, right? That was retrograde. Was that it?
You got it.
I nailed it. Learning more about our solar system every day.
Or it could be the time change.
Oh my God, there's so many things happening right now.
What a terrible day.
This is why my body is exhausted, okay? And I cannot believe we've gone for an hour because, I was drained. And so Holly and I had a long weekend of painting and getting stuff, put together. It was, I don't even remember it all, Holly.
It went by in a blur.
Yeah, it did.
What was
Yeah.
that? Luke's lightsaber flying through the abyss.
It was like a flaccid laser sword there.
Ew.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what it felt like. Sounded like I meant. Phrasing.
Moving on.
I am on it today.
Phrasing.
There we
Okay.
go. Anything else about the comics, Holly?
I don't
before
think
we-
so.
before we get out of
I'm
here?
definitely enjoying the Kylo Ren one
Yeah.
much more than the main line, which is a bummer because
Okay.
the Kylo Ren one is much shorter.
Yeah.
But maybe the main line will start to get better to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it will. I think it will. And we definitely did also pick up, episode 3 of the Clone Wars. We won't speak a lot on it, but it was okay. It was okay. When Luke comes back, we're going to talk about the past 4 episodes and go over that whole arc. And what we learned about the clones and Echo and Anakin and Padme and all that good stuff. So there's plenty more Clone Wars to come, and we are going to talk about it, guys. There's just not a ton really to dissect in those episodes, and so we all kind of thought it would be a good idea to just go over the arc itself. And so we will definitely be doing that in the next episode. But anything else, Holly?
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah.
just chugging my way through Rebels,
Yeah.
and that's keeping me
Wow,
going.
like chugging the Michelob Ultra?
Just chugging in general.
I really hope that you remember that episode of Rebels because it was one of the best.
It was a good one.
Episode 10
Maybe
of season 3?
We'll talk about it some other time.
I don't know. The paint's getting to me. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a good week. We talk to you soon. See ya.